Hey there, everybody. How you doing? Happy Saturday to you. I am so excited to see you here on this amazingly beautiful Saturday afternoon. So excited to see you here. But listen, you guys, I was motivated to go live this afternoon because something happened this morning that really grinded my gears, for lack of a better term. If anybody remembers Family Guy, you know exactly what I'm referring to. Something happened this morning that really grinded my gears. And because of that, it made me realize I needed to come back live today just to have this discussion with you about how to go from powerful ideas to effective implementation. And really it's let me tell you a little bit about what happened, and then I'm going to jump right into how that relates to what you've gone through this past week if you've joined me in the Power Pivot Intensive. So super quickly, I just got off the phone this morning with an old friend of mine, had not spoken to him in years. He's very accomplished, very smart, has done a lot of incredible things, wants to do more amazing things. And so we were talking about what he needs, what he wants to do. And let me just say, honestly, he has 90% of the plan laid out. And for lack of a better term, he's had it laid out for years, but he just hasn't implemented. He just hasn't done it. It stayed in his head. He hasn't prioritized it. He says on the one hand, it's very important to him, but he's not taking definitive action to actually make it happen. And when I thought about that situation, honestly, it really annoyed me because I can't want it more than him. And either he's going to take the action that's necessary to get it done, or he needs to work with someone like me to make sure that he does do it. But staying in the space of thinking about it, contemplating it, wanting it, but not moving is allowing his great ideas to atrophy over time. And I wanted to come over here today to talk with you about that because many of you have joined me for the Power Pivot Intensive last week. It was a powerful training where, I really helped you get very clear about how to determine the best destination for your pivot right now, given everything that's happening right now. How do you really sort of mind your skills, your abilities, your talents, your genius, and juxtapose that against the opportunities that are in fact here in this moment? And where do you find that intersection to be able to determine your best destination for your pivot? We talked about that on day one. We talked about ramping up your pivot strategy on day two. How do you sort of establish your expertise and your thought leadership in an area before you enter it so that you can more quickly be able to get clients once you get there. And then thirdly, we talked about how do you sell in this moment and how do you scale in this moment, because it's very different than it was even just a few months ago. So you have left this with a great deal of information. If you've been here every day, you've left it with a great deal of information. All right. And if you haven't, put replay in the comments and I'll make sure that you get the replay page. The replays are up all the way up until tomorrow night at midnight. So you still have time to get caught up. But I'm not going to go over those things in detail because we've gone over it in detail. What I am going to go over, though, is what do you need to do next? And what you need to do next is what? Implement. What you need to do next is what? Put theory into action. I do not want you to be like my friend who's been sitting on great ideas, aspirations, really honestly 10 feet away from goal for years, but has not put his own feet to the fire such that he actually gets the ish done that he needs to get done. Okay. So let's talk about that. I have a few tips for you today around really being able to implement effectively an execution plan for all that you have learned in your Power Pivot experience. Okay. Number one, you've got to attack the implementation gap, like my friend here. Okay. Don't be like him. That's an example. Don't be like that. Okay. There is going to be an implementation gap between what you learn and what you have to do in order to get to where you want to go. And the harsh reality is most people get stuck for years in the gap. They leave an experience like the Power Pivot Intensive excited, hyped, with a great deal of clarity about what they need to do. They have the blueprint laid out for them. They know what they're supposed to do. But the progress is in the execution. And let me just tell you right now, execution in isolation equals slower results. Point blank, period. Execution in isolation leads to slower results. And here's what I want you to understand about that. This is the space where most people get messed up, because you think that because I have the action plan, because I spent these days and I've watched the trainings or I've watched the replays and I've taken notes and I've completed the workbook and I know what to do, then all I have to do is go do it. Yes, that would be all you have to do. Absolutely. But the problem is life gets in the way. You have questions along the way. You get stuck someplace. You learned about things like the relationship funnels, but what do you actually say in those conversations? You have no clue. So there is a gap between the knowledge and the implementation. And let me just tell you, unless you close that gap, your aspiration years from now, just like my friend, will still be a mere aspiration. It will not be an accomplishment. It will not be an effective implementation. Knowledge in isolation often means knowledge for mere knowledge's sake. And you have a little bit of, what's the best way to put it? You have a little bit of a false sense of accomplishment because now you know more than you used to know. But knowing more isn't helping to put money in the bank account. Knowing more isn't effective when it comes to actually getting clients to say yes. Knowing more isn't as powerful and impactful as being able to build the thought leadership brand that you need to build to make it easier for you to go from zero to contracts, especially if you're pivoting into a new space. So you have to do more than know more. And so when you go for implementation, that's where you need support. That's where you need community. Okay. Knowledge without that is just an expensive educational experience. When I say expensive, I'm not talking about money here. I'm talking about time. Because you're either going to waste time not implementing, or you're going to waste time implementing in not the most effective way, so you're not getting the most effective results. Does that make sense, you guys? So understand that with all the knowledge in the world, with everything that you know, knowing is not enough. You have to do. You have to do. And I have to say, that is something that you have to keep in mind as you're looking to move forward right now in the implementation stage. Okay? Secondly, I'm looking over here. I'm seeing if I'm live in the group. If I am not live in the group, I apologize. Let me see if I can get a feed going over there just in case. Give me just a quick second because I'm looking for it. If you happen to be watching me in the Revolution Facebook group, let me know in the comments by saying you're here. If you're not, I'm going to see if I can share the stream over there in just a second so you can get the rest of it. Okay. Just to be double sure, I'm going to drop the link here so you can actually see it. All right. There we go. So it should be coming up in that group soon. I'll probably put it in my other Facebook group as well. Okay. Okay, perfect, Miranda. Great to know. I just want to make sure it's working. This is my first time trying to go live in the group ever since Facebook did its thing with Facebook groups. And I'm excited to hear that's working. Yay. Okay. So number two. Okay. Other things I want you to remember as you're looking to implement effectively right now. I want you to keep in mind that we are in a historically hostile market. We are in a historically hostile market. And it's historically both internally and externally. What do I mean? I mean, historically, I can see you on Facebook, but I did not get all my assignments once I just need to submit. Dijon, the assignments are not for you to submit. The assignments are just for you to complete. So if you're in the Facebook group, you can complete them in the posts that are there. Feel free to do that, but you don't have to email them off or anything to anybody. Okay. It is a good exercise for you though to go through that process. All right. So that said, I want you to realize that right now it's a historically awesome. Great, Anne-Marie. Great to see that. So I'm live everywhere. Yay. Okay, Dijon, great. So if you if you completed them, great. Just make sure that they're in the Facebook group. All right. So this is a historically challenging market. It's a historically challenging reality. Awesome. Okay. So I want you to understand that you are pivoting into one of the most competitive markets that we've experienced in years. You're pivoting into an internally and externally hostile market. Let me tell you what I mean by that. What I mean by that is that we know about the impact of this administration and how it has particularly and in particular targeted Black businesses, Black entrepreneurs, and created this very hostile environment related to our ability to thrive. It's as if they have specifically attempted to put a scarlet letter around the neck of all Black entrepreneurs in this moment in a way that suggests that if you are Black, then it's almost as if they're trying to say, and you're a business owner, no matter what you do, whether or not you are technically in the DEI space, they are trying to use DEI as a slur. And they're using it in a way to not only make it harder for you directly, but also as a way to intimidate organizations that you could work with not to work with you. Look at what just happened with the president of the University of Virginia. Oh, sorry about that, my nose itches. Look at what just happened with the president of the University of Virginia. My youngest son is about to go off to graduate school there in the fall. He was just basically forced to resign as president of that university because this administration was putting so much pressure on them around their diversity programming. And they had already rolled back a great deal of it, and they were still putting more pressure on them. So think about if those of you who are looking to get contracts with corporations and other major organizations, think about what pressure that they're under now too. So it's hostile coming from the top down in terms of this administration. And then it's also, as a result, if not hostile, at least more difficult from the bottom up in terms of those specific organizations that you might be targeting to work with. So this is a historically challenging market just in terms of the mere hostile, work environment, for lack of a better term, that many of us are having to navigate now as entrepreneurs. That's one layer of challenge that you're facing right now in this market. The second layer of challenge are the trickle-down effects of that. The trickle-down effects of that on the lives of real people. For those of you who are not working B2B, but you work in B2C and you want to get more individual clients, a lot of them have been negatively impacted by this as well, and in ways that have caused them to literally lose their jobs. And so when they've lost their jobs, or if they're afraid that they might lose their jobs, guess what happens? What happens then is that they become very, very careful about how they spend their money. They become very hesitant about spending money, and they think much more deeply before they make purchasing decisions. They think very deeply before they make buying decisions. So buying is slower, okay? Imagine having to navigate a historically challenging environment just like that by yourself. Imagine it. Most of you don't have to imagine it. You're actually doing it right now. I want you to know it is 10 times harder to do that by yourself than if you're in a community of other folk who are also navigating it, and within a space where you have specific mentorship and support that can help you understand effective strategies in this moment Strategies that, quite frankly, might be new now, different now than what it took to get the same results 6 months ago. Hell, 60 days ago. So just understand that you don't have to, and neither should you, want to navigate this situation by yourself. This is not, you don't get extra points for doing everything by yourself. In fact, it typically will slow you down. Okay. I want you to know that in this moment, especially, solopreneurs are struggling. And when I say solopreneurs, I'm not just talking about someone that's working in a business by themselves and they don't have any employees. I'm talking about individuals who are facing this challenging moment, and they're doing it without wise counsel. They're doing it without community. They're out here trying to slay the dragon by themselves when they could instead be in a space that is supportive and that could be and is nurturing, but also one that could give them sound advice and solid direction and better strategy. This is not a hope and hustle economy, if ever there was one. This is an economy where you want to really know what the hell you're doing. And with that said, this is the last time you want to waste time by trying to figure it out by yourself. So I want you to understand, in many ways, you need a corner man. You need a corner guy or gal. I don't know if any of you are boxing fans. I know Clarissa Shields getting a lot of information, getting a lot of attention right now with not only her boxing prowess, with all the drama with Papoose. Hey there, Wims. Right words for me. I hear you, Wims. But here's the reality. Think about what boxers do. Boxers are in the center of the ring, going toe-to-toe against their opponent for a certain number of minutes, depending upon whether or not they're pro or amateur or whatever the situation is, right? But in between rounds, what's going on? They go to their corner. They get advice and counsel from their ring man, their ring girl. Exactly. They're taking the body shots. They're getting some respite. They're getting some rest. They're getting patched up. They're getting prepared with a new strategy, with advice around adjustments they need to make in order to win that next round. And then they go back in the center of that ring and they attempt to put into action the counsel that they were just given such that they can win. If you don't have anyone in your corner right now, I want you to know it is going to be like that boxer, but with no wise counsel, with no breaks, just there in the middle of that ring, all by him or herself, all out all the time, without the benefit of someone with perspective that can see things that they can't see. Someone that typically has more experience than they have, that have been there for years, long before they even ever stepped into that ring in the first time. And someone then that can use that experience and that perspective in a way to help them such that they can use that knowledge, that information, that wisdom, and put it into place in real time when they get back in the center of the ring. And here's what I want you to know about that analogy specifically. Honestly, that is so much like what business is like. Because your wingman, like your guy in the corner, your girl in the corner, they can give you advice and help you see things that you can't see. But at the end of the day, you have to execute. However, imagine if you didn't have that. You're executing in a space where you don't even have the perspective that you need to have in order to see all of the dangers and the opportunities that are in your future. Uh-oh, I hope I'm still going because my video seemed to have stuck. Seems to be stuck. So I'm hoping I'm still going. All right. So let's keep going. If you guys can, I definitely am stuck. Hold on, guys. Let me see what I can do. If there's anything I can do to keep this going a little bit longer. Hold on. I'm trying to make some adjustments here. At least y'all can hear me, I think. Give me a couple of seconds. I'm trying to see what I can do with my computer to help maybe get in a situation where I am moving again and I can complete what I want to share with you all. Oh, don't do this to me now. All right, guys, hold on. Worst case scenario, I'll go off and come back on, okay? All right, hold on. Which I might have to do because I can see that it's not working. I'm still stuck. All right. So let me do that. I'm glad that I figured out how to get this thing to work, but let me just say this. What I'm going to do is I am going to go off. Don't go far away from me. I know you guys can hear me. Exactly, Dijon. I know you guys can hear me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off. Give me like 60 seconds and then I'll come back on because I haven't really even gotten to the heart of the matter of what I want to share with you all around how you can effectively implement. All right. So you will want to be here for part 2. Okay. I'm going to end the stream right now, but I'll be right back for part 2 in just a couple seconds. Don't go far. Okay. I'll be right back. Thanks. Bye.